Guys,
Probably true.
we've had some great fun. We've had some great fun just chatting. Okay. And what I want you guys to know, it is 6 o'clock. We're in the Midwest. It's 7 o'clock on the East Coast, 5 o'clock in the mountains, which are beautiful. I understand the weather's beautiful right now. And on the East Coast, it is 4. Yeah.
And the West Coast.
West Coast, it's 4.
Yeah.
I hate
California
that.
is 4.
Yeah, with beautiful, beautiful weather.
Yeah.
So
from Hawaii, this is the East Coast. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. and so I want to thank you all for joining us. We have wonderful panelists that are going to join us today. David-Dorian Ross, DDR, the founder, creator, and owner of Tai Chi Fit. We have Manuel Velazquez. He's from Puerto Rico originally, but he's living in Tecate, Mexico at Rancho La Puerta. He's one of SCW's faculty members. He teaches our yoga certifications. He's an amazing presenter, and yes as well, yes. And then we've also got Tricia Silverman, and Tricia leads our active aging nutrition certification. Tricia came to us as a Fitness Idol competitor, and she does at least 4 lectures at our conference on all different types of nutrition topics. But she won our Fitness Idol competition. She has been just knocking it out of the park. And so we asked her to join our faculty. And you've been doing that for how many years?
I won in Boston in 2016, and I started with you at California Mania in 2017. So this is going on, the 3rd year.
Yes, lucky 3. That's fantastic.
Thank
you. Then we have Yury Rockit, who actually was a Fitness Idol loser. Sorry, but that's true. It's a true story. I was in Asia. I saw him teaching. He ended up not winning, but I have to be honest with you. I thought he was just glorious as an instructor. He came over to the States. We bombarded him with workshops at his first Mania. I think, what did you do? Like 9? I don't know. Like 5 or so.
No more after that.
And he has been phenomenal. And we have been very blessed to have Yury join us. And he leads our meditation certification.
Thank you for that opportunity to spread mindfulness and meditation.
Yeah, it's been great. So what we wanted to bring here today was we wanted to make sure that we focused on our mental faculties. And the first area of consideration we wanted to talk about is, what are you doing to keep your negative thoughts at bay while also planning for the future when social isolation slows you down? So I'm going to start with you, DDR. I'm going to start with you, David-Dorian. And what do you do to keep your negative thoughts away when you're isolated?
So I want to make sure that doesn't come off as either being unrealistic or dodging this question, but to be honest with you, I don't have negative thoughts about these kinds of things. I, of course, am concerned about the health and safety of all the people that I know personally and all the people around the world. But as far as negative thoughts, that just doesn't enter my world. I am always looking at what is the silver lining, what are the opportunities here, what are we, so we're very stoic about, our philosophy in Tai Chi Fit. It's like stuff happens, the world goes on, the Tao is always evolving, and you can't just stop and be upset about it. You have to roll with the punches, so to speak, right? So there's no negative thoughts here.
Do you think you got this mentality or this approach from your family, or did this evolve over time for you to be able to see a silver lining when the rest of us are running around half naked in the rain?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So this definitely comes from the philosophy that, I've been studying for so many years, and this philosophy that I now teach, because it's and definitely I was not always like this. I experienced lots of stress, and Manuel's known me for many, many years, but there comes a point in your life where you say, am I really walking my talk? If I teach this philosophy, am I living this philosophy? And how do I turn that around in the places where I'm not? And so attitude is one of the things that I do have control over. And that's now just sort of second nature to me. I don't worry about stuff.
Very good. That's awesome. And I see Yury smiling there. And I hope he's smiling because he doesn't worry either. But I think there's something behind that, those beautiful silly whites. So what are your thoughts? What do you do to keep those negative thoughts at bay while you're still planning for the future when this isolation slows down or when the new normal arrives?
So this might not come as a surprise to you, but and it's not just a shameless plug-in, I meditate. And this is what I, promote very heavily across all boards and industries. But honestly, I wish I could be as DD and tell you that I don't have negative thoughts. Not only do I have negative thoughts, I actually have shadows that, those shadows of this beautiful laughing phase, there are shadows of not such a beautiful laughing phase that show up in these times where we've kind of faced insecurity and uncertainty about future and all this, big thing of physical distancing and not really knowing how and when we're going to approach life in a normal way the way we did before. So definitely spending more time, as we suddenly all have a little bit more free time right now from running around, spending time looking at my mind and looking at those insecurities and fears and panics, because a lot of that, what I sometimes experience quite often, is not even necessarily my feelings. It's something that I picked up from the news, something that I keep seeing on the media. There's so much noise going on, informational noise, that affects us as humans. And so it's very important to understand where it is your emotional state and emotional landscape, and where it is something that is totally you are picking up. So meditation and contemplation practice comes crucial.
Oh, that's nice. And Tricia, what do you do?
I use humor. I've been laughing the last couple of weeks more than I've laughed in probably the last couple of years. I just use humor. I post silly things on Facebook. I just try to laugh when I can. And it's not that I'm not going through this like we all are, but I use humor and just try to find the humor in everything. When I heard bad news this week about an ice cream truck, I watched Eddie Murphy's ice cream comedy little clip, and it just made me laugh. I need to laugh. Laughter helps me so much. So I like to be silly and find humor. And I've been laughing a lot, and it really, really, really has helped. One picture that I posted, I don't know if you remember, Nick Nolte had a mugshot years ago, and I love him. I think he's a brilliant actor. And that mugshot is how I feel and how I look when I'm not on Zoom. So I posted that picture and just said,
That was great. I saw that.
Thank you. This is basically what I look when I'm not filming, and it is how I feel sometimes. But that picture just, with the little caption, it made me feel better to post that and just see. And other people commented how they were feeling, and it was just nice. We're all in this together. And I posted a little picture of a couple of socks, one sock telling the other sock, like, just, you want to be careful because you could end up as toilet paper if we don't pair up when we go in the washing machine and out the dryer. So we don't want to end up like toilet paper. But so I posted that too on Facebook. I really try to laugh a lot. But the other things that I'm doing, and I learned this because I teach active aging and I look at areas of longevity across the world, one of the things I learned about is resilience. And I think about the Okinawans and how resilient they were after the Battle of Okinawa, for example, and their culture, that they live really long, known for having a large percentage of centenarians, people over 100 years of age. and they're known for being a very resilient group. And they, you know, got through that really tough time, and they still have sense of humor. They're very positive. So I try to stay very positive. And it just goes to David's point of just trying to be positive all the time. And that's what I try. If I find my mind wandering somewhere else, I just go back to the humor and the positive.
And that's, you know, one thing I saw you mention is you said you post something funny. So I've got to say, I'm just about to get to Manuel, but it is that we are relying more on social media because we are social creatures. Somebody asked, I'm going to jump, Yury, I'm going to throw this question out. Ashley asked, what suggestions or tools would you recommend for people who are new to meditation or contemplation? Do you have a book or oh, hello, or a video? Oh, dear Lord, somebody slapped me. Yeah.
So our next live stream, I guess, will be coming up soon, but of SCW meditation cert. But honestly, I really recommend people to start very, very simple. Just set up your timer for 2 minutes, literally, and close your eyes and pay attention to your breath for 2 minutes only, and just see what type of magic might happen, might not happen, but that is the way to start.
I like that. I like that. Short and sweet. I could give 2 minutes. So
Yes.
That's good. That's great. Manuel, what do you do? What do you do to deal with the social isolation of being one of 6 people on this huge ranch, distance from your family and your friends? How do you handle it?
Well, I share a little bit of everybody. I grew up with a family very dysfunctional, like all of us. Anyway, but my mother always taught me that even on the worst times, and we have plenty when I was a kid, there is always a way. And that's always marked me to think, no matter how hard, difficult, terrible things shows in front of your door, there is always a way to turn things around. And when I get the news last week about we're gonna close the ranch, guests are gonna be sending back to their houses, no more guests, no more work, blah blah blah. I immediately thought, wow, that's great. I have a walk-in closet to deal with. I have a couple of projects that on hold for months that I can start working with. Oh, this is a great chance for me just to catch up with so many old things. And and I try to meditate, Yury, but my ADD brain doesn't stand still for not even a minute. Then the great thing for me is walking around, having this place basically for myself. I walk around, I do some physical activity that kind of tire me enough to now my mind can chill and pay attention and focus in different stuff.
And that's really, when we were talking, you said you went on 2 hikes yesterday.
Yes.
And when I go out walking, you can do meditation moving, right, Yury?
Exactly. That's what I was about to tell Manuel. Go dancing.
Well, I did that too. 2 days ago, I was dancing by myself. I put the new, and once I get exhausted, now I chill, and now my mind is set again.
And we got from Vonda, trainer, she loves to do the classes online, but Kelly said that you should look at the Calm app, CALM app. And it's an app, and it will walk you through some of the meditation. And I think that's a very creative answer.
The Calm app actually has a variety of different approaches, different kinds of music, different kinds of breathing exercises. So for people who are just beginning to ask questions about it, and maybe a little tentative about jumping right into it with 2 feet, that's a great app. But, you've got somebody like Yury, who's a resource right here. Don't discount reaching out to somebody like that to find out what they're doing.
And, you know, I hear what everybody's saying, which is wonderful. Like, how do we do it for ourselves? But then how do we do it for others? And a lot of times I think I make the mistake of, I think everybody's like me and thinks like me. If I stay busy, I'm almost distracted from the world, and I'm able to keep going and just keep moving. And I think sometimes that creates pressure for others that I have the ability to keep at bay. But how do you help your family? How do you help your other professionals to stay calm and centered during this time of stress? And how do we reach our clients? So Yury, you're kind of nodding there a little bit, but how do you stay in touch with them? I know you're a teacher, you're a trainer. Yury, how do you handle it?
Well, Sara, thank you so much for mentioning about the busyness. And I think this is something that we are kind of like addicted to, this busy pace of life. And what I'm finding out for myself, what happened with our schedules being totally blown away, right? Our calendar looks totally different from what we thought it's going to be. What I'm finding out that I'm actually reinventing and trying to look at my life from a different perspective. So I'm not really, associating myself with who I am in terms of my job and my career and my fitness professional sort of background. I'm trying to step back and step away from it and just be a human more and reach out to others with that perspective, not of like, oh, can I give you a workout, or can I give you a meditation, or can I give you this? I just reach out to people asking them, how are you today? That's what my very simple thing that I do once a day. I just send totally unrelated message to a person who I haven't talked for ages, just because he's a friend of mine on Facebook. I reach out and say, hey, how are you handling this strange times?
And that's wonderful. And that's something Manuel brought up about, like, the reconnecting.
Yes.
So Manuel, how are you reconnecting? Are you doing what Yury does with using social media?
Yeah, a lot. But I've been doing a lot of FaceTime with my friends, with my family, and even group chats. Like Yury said, totally unrelated with my profession. If that happens later, yeah, well, let's talk about that and let's schedule it. But initially, the initial motor is just connecting. Yesterday, I had to talk with my mother for 3 hours, which is insane. I love her, but not that much in a hike. But I was hiking to calm myself, and then but it was really fulfilled. It fulfilled my heart a lot, because we talk every week, twice a week, and we video chat and stuff. But yesterday she was very stressed about the whole situation in Puerto Rico. There is 10 cases now. I don't know how many people are dead right now. It's kind of becoming a hotspot now, and all these things that bombard people with media all the time, the TV, the radio, the neighbors, the isolation. She's 79. And suddenly my hike was supposed to be 1 hour 15. It lasted almost 3 hours, because I got great reception on the mountains here, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful day. And I just sat down in a rock, and then we talked. At the end, she was really happy, and I felt really, really happy too that I can, use that time for her.
What you've been doing is Yury catches up with people that he hasn't connected with in a very long time and reconnects. And that reconnecting also, I'm sure, pulls back your history, who you are. Who am I? And going back and talking to your mom. Who am I? Tricia talks about humor. So I'm like the queen of kind of edgy, kind of nasty, a little sarcastic. I know, stop it. Memes. I know, I do these memes. They're a little ugly, but it makes people laugh. And I feel like that I do feel the humor. And I like the little memes for connecting. Tricia, what do you do to help others who may not be able to quickly turn on a movie or look up a YouTube that makes them laugh? How do you keep your clients, your family close to you?
So with my family, we're taking walks daily if possible. The only thing keeping us in maybe one of the days in the last couple of weeks was rain, but we've been walking, and we've been walking in the woods. I teach a class for SCW called Immunity Boosters and Busters, and one of the things that's important for immunity is to get into the woods, and there's research out of Japan on forest bathing. And my husband works in a hospital, so I'm trying to keep him as healthy as possible. So we're living that whole SCW talk. And one of the things we're doing daily is we're getting out in the woods to walk. And there's something to breathing in the compounds that are in the woods that may help your immunity. So that's one major thing.
I read that as well. I have gotten multiple questions here on what do you use, okay, to connect with people. Are you using FaceTime? Are you using Facebook? Are you posting on Instagram? How do you Skype calls? DDR, I know that you're this expert in, I think you've been doing Zoom for how long now?
Over 10 years. We were the first ones to sign up with Zoom as a fitness organization. It was originally designed for corporate collaboration and teamwork, and they hadn't really thought about this utilization. And then I recognized that it was had the superior algorithm for video chat, and so we signed up for it right away. That was right after Zoom launched. So we've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, and how difficult was it for you to get accustomed, and is there I know there's obviously we're using Zoom now. We're very well acquainted with it, but we had to pick it up really quick. And so
that's one of the
us,
things about
there's
Zoom.
not a big learning curve.
No, there isn't. And this is one of the reasons why I continue to recommend it. I just posted something in the chat over there that Zoom is the #1 tool that should be in your kit now. There's many others. I use additional software. I have over time have developed a pretty elaborate setup, but you don't have to start that way. You can start with something really simple, and to get new people into yours, once you've established your account, it's as simple as sending somebody a link. And if they've never been on Zoom before, they just click the link and Zoom will say, hey, do you want Zoom? And you say yes, and it downloads in 30 seconds, and 30 seconds later, they're in your class. It's that fast.
And it's that fast and it's easy. And how often are you teaching your Tai Chi classes?
2 or 3 times a day.
2 or 3 times a day. And you're almost a purely virtual company at this point, right?
Right. I was scheduled to travel almost every other weekend of the year this year. And we've, for the time being, canceled all of our live dates. We did a training. We got everybody who was signed up for the live training in Philadelphia, and we put them online. So we did 30 people last weekend for a live training, and it was wonderful. It was fantastic. It was a 6-hour training, and we had a great time.
It's not like here we've got over 600 people sign up, and we've already got over 300 people that have logged in, and I can't see them, and I can see their names, and I can check on it later. But when you do this certification with 30 people, you're seeing each person. They're seeing you. You can silence them, like I'm going to silence all of you. No. But the attendees here are silenced, and we ask them to turn their video off just because of the Wi-Fi, just because of the signal. And we want to make sure we have good reception for everyone. But you can turn everybody's microphone on. You can turn it off. Certain things we have learned that we turn it off because people have dogs barking in the background. I think, Tricia, that happened on your certification. Somebody was talking to their daughter, so they don't know to turn off their own volume. So you can turn it off at certain times and turn it on. And one of the other things we discovered about Zoom is there's people out there that never want to walk into your class. They do not want to put on leotards. You are not going to see my thighs. It is not happening. And they can just turn their camera off.
Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend that.
But
no, I'm serious. I think.
No, I know that, but it was very interesting. This
Yeah.
happened with our Group X certification, just with 1 or 2 people, and she turned her camera off. Jeff was like, you can turn your camera off. And she went on, and by the end of the training, she had turned it on.
They turned it on.
She had time to feel comfortable.
But this is a best practice tip for people. If you're holding regular classes or if you're doing a movement-based workshop, you've got to make it a requirement for people to have their camera on. Otherwise, there's a safety and liability issue there that you can't ignore. And I get it. I get people don't like, you're not seeing my kitchen, unlike Trish, right? So, when you have, because this is what kind of those kinds of things that people overlook and don't really think about until the last minute. And so I'm just putting it out there now.
And
yeah, you need to.
Somebody talked about YouTube, and the difference with YouTube is you film it, you load it. You don't get that feedback. You don't get that interaction. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, because then if you make a mistake, it's not caught forever. You can edit it out and then throw it back up. Yury, how are you connecting with people?
So I actually do quite a few things that are very informal. So Zoom for me feels very formal. So that's where I do a lot of teaching and connect with, for example, JCC. We do like staff meetings there quite a lot this week, and SCW. So it's, but then when I teach client interaction, because I do life coach people, I do that also through Instagram chat. It has really good camera capacity, and Facebook also been pretty easy way for me to engage with people, even with groups. FaceTime can be also very not such a formal setting way to meet people and interact with people. So I've been using those quite as well.
Right. You can buy Zoom for $15 a month.
Right.
I believe my staff probably knows more about this, but I'll post something about it. But if you want to learn how to do an Instagram chat, or you want to learn how to do FaceTime and do a live video,
yeah,
please just Google it.
Right.
They have wonderful videos online. And if you snap your fingers, you try it, you're going to fail a couple times. It's a little bit embarrassing. The things I've filmed, I don't think people want to see. But it's you can learn, and you can learn to do it. Manuel, you also do amazing work with photographs, and you make them into videos. What apps are you using to really, Faculty Friday, to really connect with these people and show them what's going on in your life?
It started like a fun experiment, but I kind of go for 3 that I use the most: Pick, Play, and Post, Collage, and Viva Video.
Okay.
And depending on
let me translate. It's Viva Video.
Viva Video.
Viva Video,
yeah.
One word. And
yeah.
Then do you do Pick Collage?
Pick Collage is, and the other one is Pick, Play, Pick, Play, and Post.
Pick, Play, and Post.
Post.
Yeah. And those, you take some pictures, you can take little videos you've taken,
yeah.
and you can integrate them. And
depending on how many pictures or how many fun situations I've been videoing or picturing, because sometimes I take the videos and the angle is not right. I don't like this part of my face, or I don't like, or and then I take, if you have seen on media, I just take the phone and I start shooting like 50 pictures for one scene, and then I start putting it together. And the Viva Video actually helped me just to create videos out of pictures. If I have enough, I can organize them like like a little video. Today I did one for my friend Kathy Murakami. Her birthday is today, and I just picked like 25 pictures from the last 3 years that we've been together hanging out, and I created like a video for her. Happy birthday today.
And you did that on Pick, Play, Post.
And post, yeah.
And post. Is it ampersand post or A-N-D?
It's Pick, Play, Post. No M.
Just one word. Pick, Play, Post. Very good. And you guys, you've got this extra time. Instead of watching CNN, okay, play with this stuff. All right. I totally got into 30 Rock. I'm done. I'm done. I started reading a book. I don't think I'm humiliated to say this, but I don't think I've read, I can't say in how long. And my son told me that I should read Sam Walton's book. It's almost like a biography. He's the founder of Walmart, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I think I'm the next Sam Walton. That's but these
discount fitness for everyone.
Oh, I think so.
Special deal.
When Yury, how did you get to be such an expert on Instagram? Because you do post a lot, and it's very succinct, it's fast, it's smooth. And if you go straight into Instagram, if you start on Instagram, you can merge your Facebook account. This is attractive. You can merge your Twitter, okay? So that immediately when you post one place, it goes multiple places. And that's something that I got to tell you, if you're stuck at home with your teenagers, DDR, like pick their brain, because they will show you how to do things. My kids showed me how to do this stuff. But Yury, how did you figure this out?
Sara, thank you so much for calling me an expert. Really far from it. And I really encourage people not even look at the expert pages, because those people have, I don't know, millions of followers and stuff like this. And if you are a real person with real lives and just want to tell the world about yourself, I just really encourage you to go and do it. Just like with 2-minute meditation, same thing approach to social media. Just play around, like Sara said, be creative. I really treat it as a creative project most of the time. You know, I don't really just do it as, oh, I have to post. I try to post at least once a week, but I really wait for some type of nudge and inspiration, or at least if I'm on a plane ride, you can actually do it on a plane ride when you don't have Wi-Fi. I create posts, I create content, I edit pictures, I kind of think what I want to say, and then I just have a content that I will be posting over the month or a week to come. So with this being said, just play with it, be creative. And I want to acknowledge that person, Jamie Willis. She said that she's a visual designer. Be creative, play. This is perfect time to discover, to be creative, to try new things that you're really scared of. Read books, you know, stuff like that could be really, really enhancing your overall life quality.
Yeah, write books, right, Tricia? Tricia's actually been helping to coach
Kooperman
me.
is doing this.
I know, but Tricia has been helping me to finish my book. And she basically bugs me. I mean, calls me every day.
She's really good at that.
And she'll say, how many pages? How many pages? I feel like she's a blank parent, right? But it's helping me. And I sincerely appreciate it. I want to ask you about nutrition real quickly, but I'm seeing also multiple questions. People are nervous about Zoom and nervous about Facebook, because what about my music? All right. What about music licensing going on? Also, what about waivers of liability? DDR talked about making sure your clients are safe, that you can see them, so that encourages proper posture and execution. We have a waiver of liability that we use for SCW when people come to the conferences. It's not a legal document. We will post it Adam, you're listening in and you're helping with this webinar today. He's our social media guru for SCW. Adam is going to post our waiver of liability. It's not as legal advice. There's my disclaimer of my own disclaimer. But we're going to give you a waiver of liability. So do you have to use it every time? Do you have to get people to sign things? If you're doing one-on-one training, I highly recommend you get them to agree. You could also send it in an email, get them to hit reply and say, I agree to the document, and save that email in a very safe place. But we do get concerned also about music. Typically, if you're going to repost something with music, that's kind of when they catch you. If something's live, it's pretty good. You can do the Facebook Live, but the minute you hit okay, save and post, they may stop you from doing it. That happens a little bit. It happens a lot to me because I go to concerts all the time in the summer, and I'm always, aren't I doing? I know Manuel's smiling because I'm always doing it, but it's great because it brings it to life. So if you're going to do the Facebook Live, just when you post it, they may take out the music. Tricia, health and wellness. You're our nutrition guru. Talk to us about how I can stop eating my kids' food after about 8:30 at night. Okay, what's going to stop me?
It's a good question. I have a lot of Fit Pro friends online, and I see what their clients are writing, and what their clients seem to be struggling with is too much food now in the home. So what you're saying, like the kids' food, too much food. So one thing that you can do is a strategy, and I'm going to just have you look at my cabinet here. So when you open up my cabinet, now you can see healthy food, but you don't see Oreos, right?
Where?
That's because she ate the Oreos already.
Right. But here's the trick. If you have junky stuff, you don't even want it in this cabinet, put it somewhere else, but hide it behind so that you can't see it. So when you open your cabinet, if you just see healthy food, that's what you're going to grab. But if you're looking at these, when you open your cabinet, you're going to go to those. So think about where you're putting the junky food. And I don't even recommend in here junky food, put it very far away from where you're going to be. I think that when you shop, try not to buy too much of the junky stuff. Try to keep it out of the home. But if you do have kids around and you are getting junkier stuff, get healthier versions of it. Get gummy bears that don't have all those chemicals, and then hide that stuff. So that's what, in my family, if my kids want something that's a treat, I'll get a better version of it, and then it's hidden so that I don't eat it. Because if it's out, I'm going to want to eat it. So I hide all that stuff. And I find that to be really helpful strategy.
I think that is one of the #1 keys. And you can do the same thing with your refrigerator, right?
Yes.
You can put some of the more unhealthy things, hide it in back. So I think the problem that happens with people, and I think as fitness professionals, I go along, and then I wake up and I'm starving. Like I've been working out and I'm fine, and I take a shower and I dry my hair and blah, blah, and then I'm gonna eat the dog.
This is what's known as the COVID-15.
Yeah.
Guys know COVID-15?
I know. Have you seen me post the pictures of Buster with the chicken? He has this rubber chicken that he walks around with. I know, it's a bad sense of humor. But I love the idea of hiding it, because if we're stuck, if it's raining, we are stuck inside. And I love the idea of going out for walks. I think that's terrific. This says good for you cookies. That's what somebody suggested. That's an alternative, something good. But trying to maintain at least right in front of you the things that are healthy. I've even had my kids actually take their junk and keep it in their rooms. you know?
Yeah, that's a great
I
idea.
I take the wine, I put it in my bedroom. You go with God with those Cheetos. I'm fine with that, but don't you dare. Yeah. But that is something we also have to talk about. You know, one of the ways to relax that people are doing, there's a lot of jokes out there. I got a meme today of someone with a face mask, and it was actually a wine glass, okay? Like right over the face. But how are we supposed to regulate our alcohol consumption during this time? Because did you notice that they did a legal mandate to close all the shops, and then they put the necessities, like you can be if you're in the health profession, you can go out. If you're a lawyer, you can go out. If you're in safety and security and a firefighter, you can go out. And then they opened up the alcohol shops.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
So
Duh.
I have a comment on that.
How do we regulate that? I mean, how do we?
We don't. You don't regulate it. You regulate it by meals.
I think, so what I think is important to know, this is really important, and I talked to my family, they're from New York, they're in New York, and they're very worried because of that's, you know, one of the epicenters right now where the COVID is. One of the things to be mindful of is to try to cut, if you are drinking, try to cut it off 3 hours before bedtime, because too close to bed, it can impact your sleep. And it can impact the deep stages of sleep and your REM sleep. So in deep sleep, you restore your body physically, and in REM, you restore your body mentally. So for your optimal immune functioning, you want to be sure that if you can limit the alcohol, try to do that. And I have here, this is, by the way, this is 1 glass of wine. That's 5 ounces. So are you filling it up? Because the limit is 1 glass for women a day and 2 for men. So think about
2 for men, that's great.
for men.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sara.
I hate you.
But just, so try to limit your alcohol if you can, and then try to cut it off 3 hours before bedtime.
3 hours before bedtime. So that means if I'm going to sleep at 10.
Start at 10 a.m.
I have to stop at 10 a.m.
Yeah, start early.
Yeah.
Like me yesterday. I started at 4:30.
Yeah. So I have to start drinking at about 4:30. So I finish by 7.
Right.
But no, that's very good advice, because I have, you know, we've all done this. We're working, we're running around, we're teaching. You come back from teaching and you're wired for like that hour after you're teaching. You're just wound up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what we do is we get back home and we're wound up and we eat, and then we sit down, and if God, you know, if, oh my goodness, we turn on the news, it winds us up, and I'm like, I need a glass of wine to deal with all this, and I've got to stop. Yury, you're raising your hand, which I mean, which I don't know what that means.
I'm a proper, you know, it's Eastern Europe tradition. At school, you got to raise your hand. That's what you do. As a good student.
I thought he had to go number 1. That's what I thought. There was.
To piggyback on Tricia's message, and that's also what Tricia always tells us during her lectures, which I love attending. She always tells us that drinking is supposed to be in a social settings, right, Tricia? So at least if you decide to have that glass of wine, that second glass of wine for men, which, you know, thank you for telling me about this, Tricia. I'm really, really appreciating this. Get your phone out and have a happy hour on FaceTime with your friends.
Oh.
You know?
Yes.
Actually,
Excellent.
a lot of organizations like GCC centers in New York, they actually do happy hour for their staff. So we just call each other and we have a glass of wine, chit-chatting. So it doesn't have to be just about work. It can be just like this.
And when I feel, very good. What I feel is like I miss my class. You know, I miss. It's not like I know, you know, their second child's middle name. You know, it's not like I know all these things about them, but I miss the chatter. I miss the connection. And I think as instructors, as trainers, we're kind of used to this. We get used to this, and then we're stuck in this isolation. And it's not normal. And I think that's why again, I'm going back to this, Tricia's walking, Manuel's walking, I walk. People ask me like, why do you walk? And I'm like, the answer is, why do I come home? You know, it's like, you know, we go, and I love that I'm waving to people across the street. I love it that my dog barks. You know, I love it. I go to the dog park where all the people are standing away and the dogs are just, we're all smiling because the dogs at least are touching each other. We're living vicariously through the animals. But I do believe that this is something we need to deal with, is that we're getting close, it's 6:45 right now, but because we're social creatures, I love it that we're doing this Zoom. We're going to be doing this again on Sunday, late afternoon, evening. You guys will get another email tomorrow about this. And we'll do sit up on Sunday. And we'll have these several times a week connections so that when we do our social media posts, they will match with the webinars. And it's a time for us to connect. I go to the convention and the people are just as crazy as me. You know, instructors, we're weird. Aren't we weird?
Totally.
I know.
We are dysfunctional creatures.
And we love each other because of it. So I'm going to say, Manuel, thank you so much. Tricia, the Oreos were upside down and I ate them all. Yury, I hate you because you have a second glass of wine. And I'm telling you, DTR, the next time you're on, I want to see the whole house in a pan. I want to see the bathroom, I want to see the basement. I want to see the kitchen. I thank all of you for joining us. We will send you a thank you. Check us out on live stream. Oh my God, he's walking around the house. And we will post that waiver of liability for all of you tomorrow. People asked us about insurance. We've been talking to a different insurance company to see what's going on for you. We'll keep you posted. Stay online with us. Thank you all for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.